All right, good morning, guys. Let's have a seat. Yeah,
I would have found another one, Chris.
that's not mine. I drink highly leaded in the morning. Nope. I drink full lead in the morning. None of this lightweight stuff. I drink polluted water, as they call it, with a lot of caffeine. So,
He likes high octane. The higher the better.
yep. All right, so this morning we are starting a new book, a new chapter. We're working on Unit 7, so we're going to start that off. We're also starting off with me teaching Sunday school for the summer, so I'll probably be going all the way through Unit 7. I'll be taking you guys through 7 and probably part of 8. I don't know if I'll get all the way through 8 or not, whenever Mike kicks me out of here and decides to take it back over. So with that, let's start off in a word of prayer. Let me move this cable so I don't.
I'll catch you.
I ain't worried about falling too much. I'm worried about destroying. Exactly. I'm more worried about destroying my cable. So, all right, let's go to prayer for this morning. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you once again for the opportunity to look at your word and to look back into history and to see what you did with your people, the Israelites, and how you took care of them and how you showed your glory to them, Lord. I continue to be amazed at the ways you've provided for them, Lord. Please be with me this morning as I explain what you did in the first part of them leaving and as we go through the rest of this unit. We ask this in your name, Lord. Amen. All right, so Mike left us off with the Israelites leaving Egypt. They took a whole bunch of stuff with them, and they went through on how to build the tabernacle. He gave a lot of instructions on how to build the ark, lots of instructions on how to do things. And the Israelites saw that God provided for them as they left. I mean, he gave them the riches to build these things. He gave them manna. He gave them food. And so we're going to see about 2 years later, just before they're to start to go up and enter into the land, Moses sends spies out. And what do those spies do? They go out and they do what spies do. They bring back information about the land. And we're going to read about that information. We're going to read about what they did with that information. And we're going to see a repeated pattern yet again. They don't quite seem to learn. These Israelites they get stuck. We're going to see how, again, they lacked trust in what God had planned for them. So we're going to start in Numbers. We're going to be in chapters 13 and 14 today. And we're going to go through both of those, and we're going to see what the spies did and what happened when they came back. And it sets up what's going to happen to the Israelites for a long time. For a pretty long time. 40 years. You know, you can grow some really nice black walnuts in 40 years. You know? So, let's start off in Numbers 13. We'll start reading there, and then we will go into our discussion of the chapter. So we'll start in Numbers 13, verse 1, and go all the way through the end. Somebody would like to start us off, please?
Okay, I will. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the people of Israel. From each tribe of their fathers you shall send a man, every one a chief among them." So Moses sent them from the wilderness of Paran, according to the command of the Lord. All of them men who from the tribe of Gad, Gaal, the son of Maki. These were the names of the men whom Moses sent to spy out the land, and Moses called Hoshea, the son of Nun, Joshua.
Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said to them, Go up into the Negev, and go up into the hill country, and see what the land is, and whether the people who dwell in it are strong or weak, whether they are few or many, and whether the land that they dwell in is good or bad, and whether the cities that they dwell in are camps or strongholds, and whether the land is rich or poor, and whether there are trees in it or not. Be of good courage. Bring some of the fruit of the land. Now, the time was the season of the first ripe grapes.
So they went up and spied out the land from the wilderness of Zin to Rahab near Lebo Hamath. They went up into the Negev and came to Hebron, Ahiman, Sheshai, and Talmai. The descendants of Anak were there. Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. When they came to the valley of Eshcol and cut down from there a branch with a single cluster of grapes, and they carried it on a pole between two of them. They also brought some pomegranates and figs. That place was called the valley of, of Eshcol, because of the cluster that the people of Israel cut down from there.
At the end of 40 days, they returned from spying out the land, and they came to Moses and Aaron, to all the congregation of the people of Israel in the wilderness of Paran and Kadesh. They brought back word to them and to all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him, We came to the land to which you sent us. It flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. However, the people who dwell in the land are strong, and the cities are fortified and very large. And besides, we saw the descendants of Anak there, and the Amalekites dwell in the land of Negev, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the hill country, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the Jordan. But Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, Let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are well able to overcome it. Then the men who had grown up with him said, We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we are. So they brought to the people of Israel a bad report of the land, and that they had spied out, saying, The land, though, which we have gone to spy out, is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it were of great height. And there we saw Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who come from the Nephilim, and seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them.
All right. So here we have Moses sending out people. And how many did he send out? 12. 12. One from each tribe. And I stumbled like Marcia did over those names when I was reading this, going, I got like 3 names out of there that I could pronounce. The rest I trip over, so don't feel too bad. So they did. They sent 12 out, one from each tribe. So they had equal representation going out into the land. And what did the spies do on their journey? What was their job to check out?
Kind of everything. The fruit of the land, the
Yep.
lay of the land, the people of the land, all of it.
Yep, it was a basic recon report. So if you think about, as we do today, when we send our armies out to go spy someone or send the Marines to do something, we're spying it out. We're trying to get the intelligence so we can understand what we're up against, understand what we're going to go in, why are we going to go there. So we send the spies out, and they bring back information. Now, there's a map that goes along with this, and I forgot to print it out. But they traveled quite a bit of distance. I mean, they traveled up into Jordan. Jordan. They traveled up into Canaanite. I mean, this whole area where Israel is at today. So they traveled pretty far, and it took them a while to come back. So, looking here at the next question, whom did they find in Hebron? Descendants of Enoch. Now, we're going to find some other information, if we look further down, that they had giants. That's what they called them, descendants. But, everybody was destroyed at the flood, so they're just giants that came back again. Don't think that those giants listed through the flood. So whatever we heard in Genesis, these descendants of Enoch, they were killed in the flood. So these are the giants that came back the way they came the first time, because I don't think Adam and Eve were huge, really tall, humongous people. So I just wanted to bring that out, that these Enochs here and Enochs before the flood are not the same people there. He's referenced them as Enochs, the giants, so that the people know the size and the strength of them. So, and that goes to who was Enoch right there, and why was it important to the mission of the spies? Why do you think that was important to them? You know, where they could conquer. And the other people used that as a tactic to strike fear. So when the spies come back, they're reporting, as we'll see here in a few minutes, to strike fear into the people of Israelites. As we read further in their report, they use a phrase that is more of a figure of speech. What's that phrase?
Land of milk and honey.
Yep, land of milk and honey. Now, when you hear that, what do you think? Land of milk and honey. What does that conjure up to you for? If I told you that Mottville is the land of milk and honey, after you get done rolling on the floor laughing. A nice place to live.
Also, agriculturally rich land.
Okay. Why would they use milk and honey? What's another, guys, that you can think of to? Agriculturally rich, milk and honey. I think of that as a time, they're eating manna, they're eating water, it's quail, staple food, milk and honey. That may be food of kings and queens that are, it's a rich food. The honey is very sweet. It's really nice. Probably tastes better than manna. So it describes a land that is rich, that has a lot of resources in it. How long had these spies been gone? 40 days, absolutely. And I want to know how they're moving through that much land in 40 days. Personally, I'd be worn out by day 20. But they covered a lot of land in 40 days. And they got a lot of information out of it. They went from the wilderness of Sinai all the way up and back.
On foot.
Yeah.
No Subaru.
No. Or no old truck to climb these mountains. They're walking. At best, they got a donkey to ride on. So they're covering a lot of land and gaining a lot of information. And it says, well, why did it take so long? And the land was large, traveling by foot. And the distance from Kadesh to Rahab in the north is about 180 miles, is what they're guessing. 180 miles, it's like walking from here to Traverse City. Now, Mottville's probably 190, 200 to Traverse City, but still, on foot.
Well, if they walked 10 miles a day, that took them
may have been. I'm going, they were in a lot better physical condition than we are.
Well, if it's 2 years from Egypt, he's been walking for 2 years.
Just-
So,
Yeah, it's just, to me, when we discuss the Israelites and their trek out of Egypt and to the Promised Land and the vast amounts of territory these guys cover, it's just, I look at myself and go, getting up to go get the mail at the end of the driveways. I don't want to do that. I am just amazed at how much mileage they cover. So yes, it was a long journey. And they did cover quite a bit of miles. In verses 27 through 29, what did they report? This is going to be important as we take a look at the later part of the chapter.
Didn't think they could do it. They didn't think they could conquer the new land.
Why? What does verses 27 and 29 say?
Fortified cities
Yep.
and giants.
Giants. Yep.
They had a short memory, didn't they?
These guys' memory is really short.
Must have had dementia.
He's very, very. But if we look at 27, the land flows with milk and honey. They show them the fruit of the land. They said they cut a bunch of grapes, and they put it on a stick between two people. Now hold it. When was the last time you went to Walmart, picked up a bunch of grapes, and you required a stick and two people to get them out of there? You know, you're lucky to get a full bunch out of. Even if you go to the vineyard up here at Corey Lake, the largest you're going to get, and I did it one year, the largest you got was about like this. So for them to carry grapes on a stick between two people, personally I think of a hog. I'm doing that with a hog. Between two people, because it's, maybe 300 pounds, if we really could. Full on hog. And yet, they're carrying grapes between them. So these either A, really huge grapes, or their bunches aren't bunches. Their bunches are massively huge. So they bring back items from fertile land. They show that the land is fertile. But, as Charlie points out, they're strong. They're fortified cities. They are large people there. There's also regular-sized people there, too. Now, this was interesting. What is another name used for the descendants of Anak? And I say it's interesting because in my translation on ESV, I don't find it called that in here. And I tripped over the word Nephilim? Nephilim? Okay. Nephilim. So, is that the New King James translation where it's at?
No, ESV's got Nephilim.
Where at, what verse?
33.
End of the chapter.
Ah.
King James doesn't have it.
Oh, that's because I'm in New King James. Sorry, I got the wrong one up here. New King James doesn't have it. The ESV has it. There we go. I forgot which translation I had this morning because I'm looking at it going, it's not in here. All right. So the New King James doesn't have it. I know the ESV has it. I don't know the importance either way of what they would call these people outside of giants, because both translations say they were giants and refer to them as that.
Using the term Nephilim
Mm-hmm.
references back to the sons of God and the daughters of men.
Oh, okay.
That's when the Nephilim first show up. So using that term references back to that and brings up those images of those people. Not just giants, but these thought of as nearly supernatural giants.
Oh, okay.
It adds an extra, these aren't just big people, these are really big, really scary people.
Okay.
It adds a connotation of scarier.
All right. All right. So they're not just regular giants, they're big, huge, ugly, scary giants. All right. Thanks for the clarification. So the Nephilim is another name they used for them and how they're described in ESV. What was an interesting figure of speech? Because it is used in my version. What did the spies feel like? Grasshoppers. Really teeny tiny, insignificant insects compared to this. So they're trying, as Jeff rightly points it out in what the Nephilim is, portray these people as larger than life. You know, people you really don't want to go up against. They forget a lot. We do, and we're gonna see that. We're gonna see that as we continue on in this lesson. So, what was Caleb? I'm gonna skip. What proof of the goodness of the land did they return with? We talked about the cluster of grapes, the figs, and the pomegranates. They returned with food, which I thought of personally as, you know, God's provision in continuing to show the Israelites that the land is fertile, because how are you going to carry a huge lump of grapes for even 20 days and they're not go sour or turn into raisins, you know, to bring that back. I know the grapes in my refrigerator, if they last past a few days of the kids, they don't last much past. Exactly. So.
That's with refrigeration.
Exactly. And it's not cold over there, so, you know, it's another example of God's provision that they were able to bring back these fruits and to show them. What's Caleb's response? Because if we take a look at verse 30 here, then Caleb quieted the people before Moses, and he said, "Let us go at once and take possession, for we are well able to overcome it." Caleb, throughout all of this news that they're bringing back, is saying, let's go do this. We have the power to overcome it. We're able to overcome it. We can do it. But what does everybody else say? No.
Well, there was Joshua who agreed with him,
Correct?
but the other 10 had really short memories.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other 10 looked at what man can do, and Joshua and Caleb looked at what God can do.
They did.
There's a difference even in our own lives. If we look at what we can do, rightly so, we can't do it.
Right.
If we look at what God can do, there's nothing impossible for him.
That is true.
I also feel though that they didn't think things completely through either, because they had a fighting force of 600,000 men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the giants might have been big, but if you're doing one city at a time, not thinking everything, 600,000 men are going to overtake a giant at some point.
Oh,
Especially if God was in it.
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So we see, as we look on, we see Caleb saying, we can do this. But what lie did the other people tell? What was the reaction of the other spies to Caleb's encouragement? And they told a lie here, because they didn't exactly tell the truth. They didn't have faith in the Lord.
He said all the people they saw in it were giants.
Exactly. They said all the people. Now, all the people weren't giants. Only one or two areas were giants. Say again?
One tribe.
One tribe. Yep. So all the people weren't giants. And even if you're a giant, if you have an army coming up and it's conquering city after city after city, because you have God on your side, you're going to start to think twice about this.
But
Mm-hmm.
You know, just a few stones because he believed what God had to say about it. A giant is no big deal to the Lord
Right.
at all.
Right. And I tend to think that Caleb and Joshua were relying on verse 2. If you go back and look at verse 2, what does verse 2 say? Send the men out to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the children of Israel. What's God saying right there?
It's your land, go get it.
Exactly. It's your land, go get it. I am telling you this is yours. You go do this. And we've seen that before with the Israelites. God is telling them, you have this. This is yours. Go do it. I am with you. And we see, as we come back into 31, in the end of the verse, that they're afraid. They're lying about all of them being giants. Yes, there are numbers up there. But Caleb says, let's go. We can do this. I tend to think Caleb's relying on the promise in verse 2. He's hearing that God said we could do this. Let's go do this. So let's read 14 to figure out what happens. Someone could start on 14 and we will go.
And all the congregation raised a loud cry, and the people wept that night. And all the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The whole congregation said to them, Would that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would that we had died in the wilderness? Why is the Lord bringing us into this land to fall by the sword? Our wives and our little ones will become prey. Would it not be better for us to go back to Egypt? They said to one another, Let us choose a leader and go back to Egypt. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the people of Israel. And Joshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of
Jephunneh.
who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their clothes and said to all the congregation of the people of Israel, The land which we passed through to spy it out is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into the land and give it to us. Land that flows with the milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and not fear the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their protection is removed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them. Then all the congregation said to stone them with stones. But the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of the meeting to all the people of Israel.
Then the Lord said to Moses, How long will these people reject me? And how long will they not believe me with all the signs which I have performed among them? I will strike them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and I will make of you a nation greater and mightier than they. And Moses said to the Lord, Then the Egyptians will hear it, and for by your might you
verses 1 through 4 here. How did the Israelites respond to the news from the spies? I kind of covered this in 13 too.
They didn't believe them.
Nope.
They believe the bad report.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I was thinking of Caleb and Joshua. They didn't believe them, you know, that the majority always seems to take over.
Yep.
And not only do they not believe, they panic.
They cried and then they complained.
Yep.
Yeah. Very good.
And their memory was really short.
Crazy.
Yes. They were. How did Moses and Aaron respond?
They fell on their face before the people. They were just, they couldn't believe it.
Yep. They were crying out to God. Joshua and Caleb also responded, and by tearing their clothes. And they tried, again, to convince the people. Guys, listen. We can do this. But they didn't. People were like, send us back to Egypt. We want to elect new leaders. We don't like you anymore. Move us back. What reasons did Joshua and Caleb give for taking the land? See in verse 7 and 9.
It's good when he makes the specific point, don't rebel against God.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is it good, but this is a command.
Correct. This is a good land. God told us we could have it. God is with us. Let's go do it. And I was reading this, I'm thinking, how do we today, in what ways do we do today, reject God in the way that these Israelites are? God's on, God will give us the power to do it. God will is with us when we do it, but we still say, yeah, I don't think so.
We should be more forward speaking of the word.
I was thinking men's breakfast.
Yep.
What we talked about in men's breakfast. We have the opportunity to go out. As I was meeting with some college friends this weekend. Hey, I'm going to call it a night early, 10 o'clock. Which is late for me now, but back then it wasn't. I'm going to call it a night early. I got men's breakfast in the morning. One of my friends looked at me and goes, how come I wasn't invited? That's an opportunity God's providing for me to say, hey, come on, show up. Let's go do this. And how often do we neglect that opportunity because we listen to our little devil on the other shoulder saying, yeah, but what might come out of that conversation might not be what you want to get into. Or, that conversation may go somewhere where you're not strong enough in defending your faith, or whatever lie they want to come up with. And as what reasons did Joshua and Caleb give for taking the land? And it's like, God delighted in them, as long as they didn't rebel against God. So Joshua and Caleb here are telling the Israelites, listen, God is with you at this point. We should be able to take this land. We can do this. And how many times do we, like the Israelites, again, well, I'm really not so sure. I don't want to ruffle feathers. How many times have we missed that opportunity? Like, I almost missed the opportunity to my friend that says, hey, show up. He has a standing invitation now. I forwarded it on to him and said, standing invitation, show up. Here you go. I'll remind you next month. Provided my alarm reminds me.
But a lot of people, even today, follow what the majority say. It's it's like a bunch of sheep. That's why God calls us sheep. You know, well, one person says it, most everybody else says it, so it must have to be true. And we don't listen carefully to those that are saying, look, we can do this, we can do it. God has said he'd give it to us, but oh no, they said it didn't work. And they're willing to listen to the majority than listen to what God has told them to say. And we do the same thing. We do the same thing. Well, most everybody's doing it, so it must be right.
Right. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit because I'm further into this than I thought I was. How did God respond to their complaining? And this is interesting to me as I thought about it, because how did they respond to their complaining? How did God respond? Yeah! What did Moses say to that? Oh, no, I don't think so. Not going to do this. So, Moses.
But Moses told them, you know, you will lose glory in the eyes of Egypt if you do that. He was more concerned about God's glory than the people as such. So please don't do that.
Correct.
I don't want you to lose glory in the
Eyes of
nation
Egypt.
around.
Correct. And so how did God respond to that? He stopped them from stoning them. Yep. So God appeared, stopped the people from stoning Moses and Jacob and Caleb. And how did God respond to, we're going down to 369, about question 11.
He punished them.
Yep.
One year for every day
Yep.
that the spies were gone, you will wander around and go in circles, which is exactly what they did.
Yep.
For the next 40 years until all of you were dead.
Yep.
From 20 above, you blew it. You
Yep.
don't want to be in the promised land, you're not going to.
You're right. He gave them, you're out here for 40 years. And what did he do to the unfaithful spies? The people who lied a little and stretched the truth a little and stirred up the discontent. Yeah, they left early. They left early. And God treated Caleb and Joshua, sorry. It's a new description. By the faith of these men, these men called the people to trust God. So he allowed Joshua and Caleb to see the promised land. And Caleb is commended for his different spirit, rather than one that trusted rather than displeasing. So after Moses says, all right, guys, you disobeyed God. You didn't do what he said. What do they go out and do? What do they go and try and do?
Now they rebel again.
And do? Go up the mountain. And they try, right here in the end of 14, they presume to go up the mountain, nevertheless, and neither the ark nor the covenant of the Lord or Moses departed from the camp. And the Eglamites and Canaanites who dwelt in the mountain came down, attacked them, and drove them back. So the Israelites are told to go conquer a land. They say, no, I'm scared, I'm not going to do it. They get punished for it. And then they go, okay, now I'm going to go do it. It's over with. That's past.
Delayed obedience is disobedience.
Exactly right. It's still disobedience. It is not, it's over, it's gone. You've disobeyed. If we go to Hebrews, I'll wrap up on this verse, 3:16 through 19. and I'm there early. For who, having heard, rebelled? Indeed, was it not all who came out of Egypt, led by Moses? Now, with whom was he angry for 40 years? Was it not those who sinned, whose corpses fell in the wilderness? And to whom did he swear that they would not enter his rest, but to those who did not obey? So we see that they could not enter because of unbelief. So here, even in the book of Hebrews, failures in the wilderness is what's called. We see this story is being recounted. Egypt's failures to do what God has told them to do. Israel's failure to do what God has told them, not believing that God is with them, has led to more disobedience and them now wandering for 40 years. We are going to be covering most of this 40 years and what happens in it. In the end of the lesson, 68, 69, we are finally going to see when Israel enters the land. So, with that, Charlie, could you close us in a quick prayer, please?